the spice of quality talk all of the time. My name is Femi Olanipekun, and welcome on board your weekly, your daily tonic, really. That's Frank Talk, where we look at trending issues in the polity, opinions of a better understanding of these issues, bringing it to you from different angles, be it politics, be it policies of government, and also issues as it affects the governance as well. On the program, we look at it from different angles, dissecting it from all sides, all in a bit, for you to have a deeper understanding, have a better insight into the issues that affect you and I individually and collectively. Well, we'll be staying with Osun State here today, looking at the state of the economy of that state. One news report emerged last week, just the 3rd of December. The financial derivatives a company released a statement that a firm owned by renowned economist Mr. Bismarck Rwani, saying that Osun is the second wealthiest state in Nigeria, basing that particular ranking on what it called the miserable and the miserable index in the state, and that the state was placed the second wealthiest amongst the sisters of the federation, according to that report released last Monday. It was ranked second less miserable and poverty-ridden state in 2017. The financial derivatives company, which released a report in its presentation entitled "How the State Performed in 2017" by its managing director Bismarck Rwani, that's a foremost economist, said in one of the top 3 economic analyses in Nigeria, Osun had the lowest net federal account allocation committee FAC allocation, but was not delinquent in payment of salary arrears. The report also showed that Osun is the second best in the measured misery index with 16.37% inflation rate, which also sums up with the rate of underemployment and unemployment. When you look at that report, the report also noted that despite the financial quagmire that other states generally in Nigeria experienced in the last financial year, the report claimed that the ingenuity of the modulated salary structure by the state government yielded positive results. The report also outlined the core indices of a structurally balanced, growing and diverse economy, which he said it's coming for the second time in 6 months from veritable and independent sources. The first from the United Nations Multidimensional Poverty Index 2016, and now the FDC Misery Index 2017. But that's our focus right here today. While some have been giving kudos to the state government, applauding it, well, for these latest reports, others are saying, well, it is far from reality. I'm joined in the studio this morning by a member of the State House of Assembly, Honorable Tunde Olatunji. Is the member representing Ife North State constituency in the State House of Assembly. Thank you very much for joining us on Frank Talk this morning.
Good morning. It's good to be here again.
Thank you so much. And I should also stress that Honorable Olatunji is a financial expert, having spent so many years also in the banking industry. And also joining us this morning is Mr. Segun Adebi. He's also a financial expert. He's a member of the PDP. Thank you so much for joining us on Frank Talk this morning, Mr. Adebi.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. All right, well, let's get started. This particular latest report saying Osun is the second wealthiest in Nigeria, and it's basing it on the misery index, saying, well, if you judge by all indicators that Osun was the second less miserable and poverty-ridden state in 2017. Let me start with Mr. Adebi. Do you agree with that report?
I don't totally agree with the reports. If you look at incidents in 2010, Anambra State had the least poverty rate in Nigeria. And then the financial derivative, with due respect to Bismarck Rwani, does not have a record yet of rating states in terms of poverty index. However, in 2015, Osun was the second on the list of the poverty rate index in 2014. The report was carried out between 2004 and 2014.
Okay.
It was released in July 2015.
By the National Bureau of Statistics?
Not by the UN.
By the UN, okay.
By the UN. So I want to believe that this latest report by Financial Derivatives was based on the report of 2015. However, it's far from reality.
But, if it was based on that report of 2015 by the United Nations that said Osun is the least, second least amongst poverty-stricken states in Nigeria, isn't it still pointed to the fact that, things seems far much better here than other states in the country?
Not very true. If you look back, the modulated salary structure for Osun State, which is a major criteria on which financial derivatives based their report on, started in July 2015. So as at 2015, I will agree with the UN Poverty Index, which said Osun was the second least poor state in Nigeria. However, if you run a business and then your revenue from your business is 100 naira, and the revenue suddenly within 2 years comes down to 50 naira, what happened within those 2 years that sustained your position on that table? That's where I have a problem.
Okay, well, let's bring in Honorable Olatunji at this point. Now, these reports, said that Osun is the second less miserable and poverty-ridden state in this country in 2017. As a sort of, Osun is second wealthiest state. Some people have said, well, kudos to government, and saying it's following up on other reports that have pointed out in this direction. But some people are saying, well, is that really what we have in reality?
Well, I think for us to have a very good understanding of this discussion, we need to situate it properly. What is mystery index itself? We need to know that mystery index, for instance, is not something that is, is not an Osun, is not a making of, Osun people. It's not an index that just started yesterday. That's an index that has been since the 1960s. And so we cannot, regardless of the feelings or the sentiments we may have about the mystery index, that is an empirical, indices for measurement of that particular,
how do we calculate mystery index?
If you want to calculate mystery index, you are simply looking at two basic, variables, and then by extension you can make it to be three. And what do I mean? You talk about inflation, and then you are going to look at the rate of unemployment. But because, of course, one of the major challenges the whole world has been facing for a very long time now has been problem of underemployment. You see, a medical doctor who leaves Nigeria to work in America and it ends up working the grocery store. That's underemployment. So it's a global problem. So now we begin to add underemployment to unemployment and inflation. So those are the three basic indices. And so what we are simply saying is this: for us to understand, there are so many macroeconomic indices that you can use to gauge an economy. But if you're talking about mystery index, ever since it has been since the 1960s, those are the three main indices, and it's not really in terms of, otherwise a country like United States of America should be the least because it's the richest country in the world. I don't know if you're getting my point. But of course, it's not even one of the top 20 in terms of mystery index. So it will shock you that like country like Thailand has better mystery index, lower mystery index than the United States. It will shock you that some other countries like Qatar, they have a better mystery index than the United States. So of course, what we are simply saying is this: as long as macroeconomic indices are concerned, there are empirical facts and data that you have to put together to arrive at this. It has no respect for sentiment or feeling or emotion. It is not the same thing as what some other people feel. It's just like a pregnant woman. If you go for a test and let me take, for instance, you get a pregnancy test kit and then it tells you it's positive. Is that no respect whether your tummy is beginning to protrude or not? It doesn't respect whether you're already feeling, the early morning sickness or you're vomiting and all of that. So the fact that you're not vomiting, the fact that your belly is not protruding, the fact that some other physical changes are not happening, does not mean you are not pregnant. But scientifically, to tell you that you're pregnant.
But Mr. Debi believes that this report is coming, or we should say, is largely based on that report by the UN from 2004 to 2014, and saying, well, it doesn't factor in the present condition of the people of the state.
We will look at where is this index even coming from. We would not be fair to say that financial derivatives, that's one of the most respected a source of data. We have economic data in Nigeria. I mean, it doesn't matter what we feel about it. We cannot throw them away. When we talk about the top economists who are not only working for, they are not working for students. As a matter of fact, it came as a surprise to everybody, including those in government. But what, there's a saying that facts are sacred, comment and opinion are free. These are factual. And I'm going to tell you this. Financial Derivatives is not just doing this for the first time. Heli this year is this same company that rated Nigeria and saying we're already about at 45% as a country, as a whole. It's been giving it from time to time. It is not going to be... This is the first time we are going to make it to be on that scale. And a number of factors are responsible. We have to look at that index and look at... Will it not shock you that Rivers State is the least? Is Rivers State not one of the states that has the highest allocation in the country, over 100 billion a year?
It's the wealthiest state, is that what you mean?
So, is the worst.
Down the ladder.
Or is the worst in terms of the mystery index. And it should not be a rocket science, my brother, because Rivers State economy simply revolves around oil and gas. An average person is working on offshore or onshore. Even you see the whole economy of Rivers is built around oil and gas. So as long as oil and gas is having a problem, there's no magic about it. Because you are looking at unemployment, a bulk of them will be out of job. Then you are looking at inflation. The cost of even eating a plate of eba in Rivers State, if you have gone there before, is huge. You can compare it with what is happening in Osun. So these indices, we have respect for that. In the whole world, Venezuela has the worst. What is the link between Venezuela and Rivers? They are all oil and gas. Since 2015, when oil problems started, Venezuela's in fact, is well over 200%. And it's still going to, projection says that till 2020 is going to be so. And then you look down that ladder, you see all economy that are tied around oil. One of the things people should need to ask us is why is it so?
Okay, well, we come to the issue of why is it so? Because Mr. Debi definitely has a different opinion. He's saying that these are facts, that we did not bring emotions into these or sentiments, that these are verifiable facts, saying if on that particular list, Rivers State, with all of his oil wealth, finishes last on that mystery index, are looking at indices, inflation, underemployment. Don't you think, really, we have something to celebrate right here in Osun State?
Well, I will still refer back to the UN Dimensional Poverty Rate Index. It based its report on 3 major sectors of the economy, which was education, health, and living standards.
Yes.
I will go to living standards by saying because Bismarck Owane's latest rating was basically based on the modulated salary structure in Osun State. There are facts, so many facts that are misrepresented, even by the labor leaders in Osun. For instance, people will come out with different stories that levels 1 to 7 of the civil service are the bulk of the workforce in Osun State. It is not true.
Aren't they?
It's not true.
How is that not true?
For instance, all the teachers in Osun State are not on levels 1 to 7.
There are teachers on level 7.
7,
yes,
not on levels 1 to 7. Do you understand what I'm saying? Majority of those on level 7 in the education sector are either security men or ad hoc staff and all that. The health sector, I don't think there is any staff in the range of levels 1 to 7 in Osun State. And then if you look at the structure of the payments of salaries of doctors, they actually earn 33% of their salaries. Because if you do 50% and you do 100% deductions for pensions and all that, it weathers down the salary they get to about 33%. So count the doctors, count the teachers, and then merge with those on levels 10 to 17.
But Mr. Debi, if you are looking at it only within the context of civil servants, wouldn't that be kind of a disservice to a population of about 4 million? And our government has said that the civil service is around just or less than 1% of the entire population. Maybe this particular, ranking factors in the entire population. I mean, at one point the other time, saying if a state like Rivers, where to take a plate of food is significantly higher than what obtains here. That's talking about inflation. And then other indices like unemployment. What we have here seems to be different ballgame entirely. When you take maybe civil servants out of the picture. I
want to disagree with Honorable Olatunji on the notion that the Rivers economy revolves just around oil. No. There are other sectors in Rivers State that are thriving.
Okay.
There's construction in Rivers. There's infrastructural development, there's education, there's so many things.
Well, are these other sectors pushed by oil and gas?
I will not agree. Let's leave the fact that they get derivatives, they get 13% derivation, they get higher allocations than other states and all that. But you also look at the population of Rivers in comparison with that of Osun. Now, why I'm focusing on the modulated salary structure is because Bismarck Owane's latest report, the major criteria I used to rate Osun is on the modulated salary structure. So I'm talking in Naira and Kobo now. If we say levels 1 to 7 are the bulk of the civil service, and then levels 10 to 17 who collect between 50 and 75% of their salaries, are the minority. How about if we discuss this in Naira? I'm sure the levels 10 to 17 have more weight in Naira than the levels 1 to 7. So many people have very different ideas about what is going on in Osun. And I believe it's based on that report, that notion that everybody collects a salary up to date, that financial derivatives base their reports.
But he's saying on that report, the report noted that despite the financial quagmire that the state's experienced, that the ingenuity, Bismarck Rawani and his company feels that that is a smart one, an ingenuity coming from the state government on that model salary structure. And government has also talked about the fact that it had maybe few options. It's either you retrench, lay off some of these workers that may actually even be bad for the economy, or just put them still within the system and then pay what we can afford that much. I shouldn't do a praise the state government for that. That's basis upon which Mr. Rwanda did that.
Government on, the modulated salary structure have been on for I think about 29 months or so now.
Yeah.
And then they've kept it also there. But my problem is, for how long do you want to do this modulated salary structure? The fact remains that Osun economy does not depend on oil. In the olden days, it used to depend on, they would say Osun is a civil service. I disagree totally, at least in the last 5 years. But the point is the money you pay to the civil servants that also go into the Osun economy, apart from infrastructural developments and all that. So you can't compare Osun situation to a Rivers. For instance, if you go down that ladder, the majority of the last 15 states on that ladder are from the north. We have those paying full salaries among those 15 on that poverty index ladder.
Down the ladder.
You have states paying full salary. Then you look at population. If you come, Lagos cannot be compared to an Osun. Lagos cannot be compared to an Ekiti. The states you can compare to Osun are not Rivers. You can do, even Oyo cannot be compared to Osun.
Now, which state do we compare to Osun for this?
Look at comparison. The Southwest generally came first on that ladder, if you do the average, followed by the southeast, followed by the south, and then the three northern zones are on the last. So you compare Osun to a state like maybe an Edo state, not even a Delta, an Edo, Ekiti, Ogun State, Ondo State.
But Honorable Latunji, the issues here is that Bismarck Rawani used the modulated salary structure as part of the basis for arriving at this particular ranking, saying he described it as ingenuity. That seems to be the grounds of Mr. Segun Adebiyi here. Is anything wrong really with that? He's saying maybe if you look at it very well, the monies that those workers on levels 10 and 7, to 17, if they get it in full, the money they would have pumped into the economy is actually huge and will be larger than what you have from levels 1 to 7.
So that we will not actually miss the cruise of this discussion, because one of the duty we owe our people is to ensure that we get them to be rightly and properly informed, irrespective of our affiliation or sentiment. And like I said, we cannot say because this is Osun, we cannot say because we have a different opinion and then we want to rewrite a law that is an indices that is a global economic indicator. If you are talking about modulated salary, the point is this: modulated salary is not the end to itself. What modulated salary has actually done is to help the state government not to lay off workers. And so we have to give kudos to the workers and their leadership and then the ingenuity of this government. Let me tell you this: on that same list, you have Kaduna as the third in terms of the worst economy. If Mystery Index rather, by all indices, Kaduna is one of the most viable states you have in Nigeria. If you talk about industrial, why is it so? Because Kaduna just laid off about 20-something thousand teachers, and that's why NUT is saying today that resumption, which is meant to be today, they should not. Workers, teachers in Kaduna, all of them should not.
So if the state government had retrenched workers, it would have placed Osun badly on that
exactly, as at the time the modulated salary was going to come up, it came with three options. Is it that the government, because government knows what it can afford, is it that you lay people off and then you are able to retain those that you can afford to pay per time? Is it that you keep everybody and then you have an arrangement so that when the economy improves, you get better. That is what's being celebrated. It is not, salary is not a component of calculating or arriving at mission index. It is unemployment. What salary will help you to do? So what modulated salary has done, which is ingenious, is to help you to sustain your existing workforce. So this government has not downsized. If the government has downsized in line with what it can afford to pay per month, this story will be different. Well, perhaps we will be list 5 states. That's why I cited the example of Kaduna. In the last quarter, Kaduna was not there. But because of that move of sending about 21 or 23,000 teachers home, Kaduna is now worst. And then you look at the state that is even number 1 in the country. Why is anybody not shouting about it? That is Taraba. Why is it so? Taraba has one of the least civil servants in the country, and is largely an agrarian society. If you have ever been to Taraba, everybody is either a farmer or is raising cattle or is into honey production. That's what they do basically. So now that you when Nigeria was going to come out of recession, one of the only sector, the subsector of the economy that grew was agriculture. If you get to Taraba, everybody's planting, everybody's there. So definitely Taraba will be on the top of the ladder, in addition to the fact that they have a very small population. So what we are saying is this: all of the things we are bringing into it has no respect. I'm sorry to use that word. It has no place in mystery index. But you know, basically, is it down? And don't forget that when we talk about employment and unemployment, you cannot continue to talk about people in public service all alone. Nigeria as a whole, every developing economy has about 80% people in the informal sector. So if you are talking about salary, you are talking about people in this, yes, they are critical component of the polity. But I tell you today, in Osho, for instance, you have more people engaged in the informal sector, not less than 80%, compared to what, irrespective of the theory of interconnectivity and interdependence of revenue. What I mean is this: that it is what those in the formal sector get that is being pumped into the informal sector. In statistics, there is no permissible inference. You can draw from 20%, inference.
But there are people in the state, I will say, I mean, this is just paperwork. They will say there's a difference between growth and development. I mean, when you talk about the economy is growing, and then the people will say we don't feel it. For instance, they say we've moved out of recession, but there are people who say, well, that is just government talking its own. On paper, that's what it is. Do we then say maybe we should change the name of that particular ranking, saying it's not about wealth? Say Osun is not the second wealthiest, because I can see many people in the state saying, well, you are just saying this. I mean, this is economic terminologies. It has not reflected, it has not trickled down to affect the lives of the Osun people in the state.
I get what you're actually trying to say. For me, when people begin to interpret it and they arrive at so many things, some will say wealthiest state, some will say all of this, some will say degree of happiness. As a matter of fact, this thing actually started as, they call it, economic discomfort index. Let me tell you something. When the mystery index was going to start in America in 1960, do you know what they were using to calculate the inflation rate? The cost of apple and oranges, basically, because that's the least an average person was to think about. If you get an orange today for 10 naira, let's say for 5 naira, if you get that tomorrow and the man says it's 10 naira, you can easily buy because you feel it's minute. They will not calculate that based on the cost of some other huge item, not on real estate. But what we are simply saying is this: because there's nothing anybody is feeling that we are not feeling. I'm not here to drum political sentiment. I don't do that. What we are simply saying is this: it's because we live in a society. One of the reasons why Nigeria is where it is today is because there are basic fundamentals that makes things to work. As long as we continue to violate them, they will not work. All over the world, advanced economy, countries and societies that want to move forward, they don't gloss over data. They don't gloss over macro. You call this indicator. If somebody will be diagnosed with malaria today, the first thing you start to say that is, I'm getting tired. My temperature is rising. But we'll still tell you I can take Panadol until it finally breaks down the same malaria. These are nothing but indicators. Yes, this indices does not tell you how much money is in an individual's pocket, and that's why I'm saying this is an opportunity for just to inform our people. This is not an end to itself. We only say that this is one of the indicators to gauge and to x-ray the performance of an economy. And one of the things you do, see, in advanced country, in same climes, when they come up with this mystery index, what they do with it is to use it actually in the area of policy formation, policy adjustment, decision taking. These are the things we need. But Nigeria has been a country where we are so emotional and we act spontaneously. We don't look at what will make us have a sustainable, development. That's why for decades of oil boom, we have nothing to show in less than 2 years, because everybody wants to. Otherwise, let me tell you something, my brother. One of the challenges everybody is battling is oil, is a scarcity of fuel. But for about 10 years, Nigeria spent 10 trillion subsidizing oil or petrol. So why is it that if you have used that 10 trillion to put up capital project and infrastructure that will impact the economy, are we not going to be seeing it now? But because Nigeria is a consuming nation and everything breathes around sentiment and emotion, and what I'm simply saying is this: Mystery Index does not say that an average person in Osun is a millionaire. Does not say that, and don't forget, you are comparing this time last year and this time this year. Don't forget, it is year on year basis. That's what it's doing. And you agree with me? The cost of the Congo of Gari as at this time 2017 is not the same price of the Congo of Gari today. All right. A bag of rice, December 2017, we know it was peaking about 20,000. It is not the same today. How can you now say inflation is not dropping? But it will not suddenly transform to the wealth that we are talking about. All right. Well, so we should get it right.
Well, let's get Mr. Adebiyi again. I'm judging by Honorable Atuji's explanation. We're not talking about money is in the hand of the people. We're not talking about how huge the purse of the government is. We're talking about how comfortable, talking about the ease of life in a way for the people of the state when compared with other people. And that report also said that, the conclusion is that the state government, under the governor, has done some deliberate investment in infrastructure and social services, that all of these are contributed in a way to make life a bit better for the people of the state.
I still want to disagree. Because, like I said, the UN reports based the final report on 3 major sectors of the economy: education, the health, infrastructure, and the living standards.
But it's not the UN report you're looking at here, Mr.
I'm talking about the UN report because I don't see this financial derivative report as being a reality in actual fact. Because if you talk about living standards of people, how were people living 2 years ago? How are they living today? What has changed? That's the point.
But this report is for a year.
Yes.
If for the year 2017, judging it alongside other states, would you then agree, if you just isolate the year 2017 alone and saying, this is how the people of the state are fared alongside other people from other states, that Osun people are fared less miserably than other people's, other states?
Than River State, than Kaduna State?
Yes.
Than Akwa Ibom?
Judging by that report.
I disagree.
Only Taraba fared better than us.
How? In Honorable Atuji's submission, he said Taraba has a small civil service, population. Most of the people in Taraba deal with agriculture. Osun is also an agrarian state. So, but what I'm saying, the difference between Osun and Taraba is that whatever goes wrong in the civil service in Osun affects the Osun economy gravely, despite the infrastructure of ground.
But do you agree that things could have been worse if not for that modulated salary?
It couldn't have been worse. If you owe someone half salary for 30 months, you are owing him 15 months salary. I don't see any difference, honestly. For the levels 1 to 7, how much do they earn?
The choice of words of Bismarck Rwani in that report talked about the ingenuity of the state government in formulating that particular idea. It could have led to the loss of
with
jobs.
The caveats.
And that could have affected Osun's ranking on that, because Honorable Latudi was talking about Kaduna State, saying Kaduna was not in that bracket before, but then for laying off about 21,000 teachers, it suddenly brought it into that index.
It doesn't also translate to the fact that if Kaduna recruits another 20,000 teachers tomorrow, they'll move up the ladder to like second or third. It doesn't work that way. Mystery Index, according to him, if you look at the American hypothesis, is the affordability of the citizens to buy apples and oranges. Like he said, Mystery Index has to do with the citizens of Osun should be able to afford basic things. Is that the situation on ground? No.
But are things not cheaper in Osun than in other states?
Oh, definitely they will be cheaper.
Isn't that a function? Isn't that also a basis to calculate this misery?
Have you compared that to the purchasing power of the people?
But have we compared how things are expensive here in this state alongside maybe states like Rivers to determine that also?
The difference is not so much. If we're talking in terms of food, the difference is not. If you want to construct a road in Rivers, for instance, you probably pay 4 or 5 times what you pay in Osun. You understand what I'm saying? So if a bowl of a bar in Osun is 200 naira and in Rivers is 250, I don't see that as any any big difference.
But you don't agree that this report, I mean, is Jerry or is realistic with what's happening in the state at the moment?
I see it as someone laundering an image. That's the truth, because it's not the reality on ground. Like I said, you run a business, your revenue is 100 naira as at 2 years ago, and today your revenue is 50 naira. What has changed? How do you move up and
but Honorable Asuji is insisting that this is a year-on-year basis calculation.
Exactly.
We should just isolate 1 year per time.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, if we look at the cost of Gary at the beginning of last year,
yes,
2017,
yes,
by the end of the year 2017, things seems to have dropped. Inflation seems to have dropped.
That's
a key indicator.
That's
for
not
calculating this.
Isolated to Osun. It's a general thing. It's not that Gary is cheaper in Osun than in Oyo or in Ogun. That's what I'm saying. Because anything that happens in Nigeria definitely automatically transcends down to the states. What will have happened if the federal government did not give bailouts and Paris Club reforms and all that? The majority of the states will have been in bigger problems. So how do you want the citizenry of such states to believe one paper report?
So if you so well disagree about this, then if we do a ranking of 36 states, where do you think Osun really belongs then in reality?
Maybe middle of the table.
Not second on the table.
No.
He believes, Honorable Asuji, Mr. Dibi believes that Osun in reality maybe belongs to the middle of the table on that Misreal index and not really at the second, or I mean at that top half of the table.
You know, I'm going to say this. You cannot draw, a satisfactory inference on any economy based on just one indices. All of the things that have been mentioned, there are some other indices that measures them. If you talk about the Misreal index, it's just one. We have the cost of living index, it measures something else on its own. We have the poverty rate index, it measures something else on its own. We have the price rate index, it measures something else on its own. So how can it be that because it's Osun, we want to come and rewrite Misreal index?
So
and that's what I'm saying. The essence of this is to inform people properly.
I mean, the cost of living index and the poverty, rate index, do they fare well in this state?
Oh, I'm second on the poverty index too.
I'm going to say this to you.
Okay.
Let me tell you. If you have a population, there are some things we don't seem to get. I want us to look at issues objectively. I'm also a citizen of this state. I'm not, and I'm not deaf, and I'm not, inhuman to the feelings of everybody. I'm not spared myself. But we have come to talk about Misreal index. That has also with the state. You will not say because this is Osun. These are macroeconomic indices that has no respect for any government. It doesn't know who it is. Why are we not talking about that of Nigeria, which is about average of 50% with this same ranking? Why do we want to say unemployment is insignificant? Let me tell you, when you come up with when experts come up with Misreal index, they will now put beside it what are the factors responsible. You can only see two factors that you can talk about. If you want to begin to talk about number of how much salary somebody is earning, what's able to do, you are talking outside of what that index is supposed to measure. Perhaps you will need to measure some other things. Now, what are the things we want to look at? What is the major factor for that of Osun? And we have said, and we are repeating it, it is the unemployment rate that was being able to sustain. We talked about the other time, we're talking about that in Rivers, that there are some other sectors of there is no, even Nigeria, as much as we is a monolithic economy, we don't have less than 48 subsectors. But whatever gives you 85% of your fiscal revenue, that is what you make as a country, and what gives you about 90% of your foreign exchange. Any other thing is inconsequential. Every other thing boils down to that same thing. So that's why they will say Nigeria is an oil and gas country. Not because we don't have health, but that is where everybody's getting the money that they are spending. And it's the same thing we are saying here. So I'm not talking to say, oh no, Osun State, yes, we have now arrived, everything is there, we are wealthy. Am I wealthy myself? These are the questions. That is not all about. But we are saying on the mission, which is just one of the macroeconomic indicators. And in as much as we begin to throw away things that are vital, that are the building blocks of every economy, we should not think that we can wake up and have an economy of our choice. No nation of the world or society runs its economy with emotions like we have been doing in Nigeria. I'm going to cite an example to you to know that as Nigeria, we tend to shy away from things that we think are minute. Nobody will believe that Nigeria has been sustaining the economy of a particular province in Norway. A particular province in Norway. Norway is far developed than Nigeria, but you will not believe that Nigeria is the one that sustained the economy until early this year. And that's in Lofoten. What is the only thing they do in Lofoten is to export stockfish. What you people call panla, oporoko. And it has been coming to Nigeria since 1890. We don't even know. Until we had the forex crisis and they were beginning to lose jobs in that particular because they could not export to Nigeria. As of 2015, Nigeria is the largest importer of stockfish in the world. And it will shock you. Last year, we imported $125 million according to the Norwegian ambassador to Nigeria. They had to come and meet with the Nigeria Customs Service, and then those who are into fishing business, come, we are having a problem here. How can we solve this forex problem? And for the first time, you see people who have been importing or exporting, stockfish into Nigeria for over 100 years, generation per year, coming to Nigeria for the first time. But Nigeria is not bothered about the data until they came to say, come, you are the one sustaining us. You spend 45 billion annually to eat panla in Nigeria. So what we are saying is that we don't care about all the, and it's because we politicize everything. It's because we trivialize it. If you would like, we can throw away the mystery index. It says if it doesn't change it. What we can do is that let someone else come and calculate his own if it's different. Or we can also, those Otto Okon who developed this is an human being, was an economist. There are also people in Osun who are economists. Let them also develop their own indices of means of calculating it and come up with it. Right. So we cannot just situate everything around just one thing and conclude. We will be violating the basic principle of development economies by all standards.
Well, he's saying this is data. We need not politicize it. We need not trivialize it. We need not gloss over it. And if you judge by what the MBS also said of Osun State in 2013, it ranked Osun, said Osun was the state with the lowest unemployment rate. It seems, even if things seems to be different, like you are claiming, in reality, we've always done well with the data. That is like building on it. It's saying this mystery index is a certified worldwide, index. I mean, and the measurables are there for all. Why do you still disagree? I don't understand.
I agree up until the 2015 report. That's what I'm saying.
But this is a year. I mean, this is for 2017, yes. And Bismarck Rwani and company have not said that they did their rankings based on the 2015 report.
I went through the reports. There is really nothing different. Go through the lists. You find out the states are just at the exact numbers they were on in 2015, except for one or two states like Kaduna that I mentioned that went down the ladder. Everything remains the same. So, for me, if it does not translate to betterment of the living standards of the citizenry, I don't see the report as anything to bother myself about.
But I mean, Bismarck Rwani and his company, a very renowned, economist in Nigeria, and if you look at what our performances have been in the past, have things gone so bad that we should now say, okay, we can't follow that trajectory again. If by 2013 the MBS said Osun has the lowest unemployment rate in Nigeria, and then following up in 2015 we see had good results on the economic front, especially as with data. 2017, has anything changed that drastically in the last 2 years?
Inflation has gone up for Nigeria in the last 2 years.
In Osun State?
In Osun, in 2015, early 2015, there was no modulated salary structure. So we are battling with beating down the inflation now and also maintaining the modulated salary structure. So these two don't add up at all economically. They don't. And then, like I said, look, these things are very easy to see. I came here to the studio a few months ago and I was like, Nigeria went into recession for so many reasons. Not just because there was a change of government or anything. Price of crude oil in the international market went down to as low as $28. But it was also the same time Nigeria did not have the volumes. That was the time we had the Niger Delta Avengers and all that. These and other factors contributed to plunging the economy into recession. Now the MBS has come out that we've slightly come out of recession, but in reality, the citizenry has not felt it. On unemployment, how many people have been employed in the last 2 years in Osun and other places? Even in Nigeria, a lot of people have been losing their jobs. So on what basis do
But people have not really lost jobs here in Osun.
In the civil service, you said they are just 1% of the population. What of the other informal sector?
But are we sure that the informal sector is not doing well? No, I mean, for construction, there's been a lot of infrastructure projects. That was also captured in this particular report also.
Yes.
Is Osun not doing well in that regard?
for me, I don't look at construction alone. I look at agriculture, I look at construction, I look at insurance. If construction does not work, insurance will not work. I look at banking. A lot of people have lost their jobs. So how do you?
But Mr. DB, some economists believe that the misery index has something to do with the crime rate. That when a state is high or is not doing well on the misery index, on that index, it drives the crime rate up. That we've not seen in Osun.
Crime rate in Osun is low.
I agree. Isn't that a function of a good position on the misery index?
Yeah, partly one because the government put in security structures that are formidable. At least it's been good for the last few years. And then number two, let me go to armed robbery for instance. You have armed robbers robbing in Lagos, chased away, they go to Ibadan and all that. I'm not saying if you don't have money, you go and steal and all that, but Osun is relatively secured, at least compared to the states around it.
But that is aligning with some of the position of those economists who believe that there is a strong correlation between the position on the misery index.
It doesn't have to do with the misery index.
Are you sure?
Yeah, if you are poor, you want to go and steal. Will you go and steal where there's an APC? I'm not the personal carrier. No, it doesn't have anything to do with the misery index. But my point is that there's a trend for this misery index thing. Even as at 2010, Osun was not doing badly. Go through 2010 to 2017, we've not been doing badly. So it's a good thing for the image of the state, but I don't see it as something people should make so much noise out of this word from. That's my own position.
Okay, well, we open the phone line shortly. Maybe just get two more positions. Both guests really have stuck to their guns, to their own positions this morning on the program. We open the phone lines for you to get your own contributions, what you make of this particular index right here, as released by the financial derivatives company of Bismarck Rewani. But Honorable Latin, just before we open the phone lines, let me just a minute or thereabout. I talked about the fact that Nigerians talk about when data are released and they say, well, it's something to talk about the paperwork. Talk about the data on paper, but what actually affects the lives of the average Nigerian, of the average person, is different from what we get on paper. They said that is for us. We'll talk about analysis and we'll talk about some of these graphs and what have you. But in reality, tell me frankly, would you say that the lives of the people have been a lot better than it was before?
There is no way a country that, for instance, shares an average of 1 trillion naira among all the 3 tiers of government on a monthly basis, we suddenly find itself sharing 300 billion at some point. The highest in this year, for instance, and the highest in the 3 years was in July, 650 billion naira, and then you feel the same thing. If as a father your salary was 100 naira, and then you have 4 kids, you can afford to take care of them, and suddenly something happens to your source of income, you are earning 25 naira. If every time when you are coming home you stop at Mr. Biggs to buy small chops for your kids and say, Daddy is back home, will you still be able to do the same thing? But then, if anybody is saying that we are not feeling the pain, how is it going to be so?
Then how did we now move up for us in Osun?
And I said something the other time.
Okay.
The fact that we are feeling the pains does not invalidate misery index. We should get it properly. We are beginning to get attached emotions that emotions have no place in some of these indicators because they are mere indicators. These are the things you need. They are for policy formulations and directions. Let me give you an instance. Today we see people saying they are going to Europe by road. Bulk of them, particularly from Edo. Which country are they saying they want to go to? Italy. Italy has been in recession since 2007 for over 10 years. Has it stopped? Is it not faring? Is Nigeria faring better than Italy? How many Africans are dying to go to Italy? Will you now say because the economy of Italy is better than Nigeria, then Italy is not in recession? We should know that one of the reasons why we have this problem as a people is because when it comes to Nigeria, we want to Nigerialize everything. We want to look at it with sentiments. It's another thing to have money in your pocket. It's another. That's why I said it is not only what is the big deal about misery index for everyone's sake. Let's now begin to look at poverty rate. For instance, the richest African that is a male is in Nigeria. The richest black man, a woman, is also in Nigeria. Will you now say Nigeria is not one of the poorest countries in the world because you have 2 people who are the richest as a male? So what we are simply saying is this: all of this does not. There are 2 different things entirely. The economy is going through challenges. It's getting better. Nigeria was in coma. It's like a patient that was in coma for about 5 quarters, 1.5 years.
Well,
everybody's feeling it.
Let's bring in people from home to join this particular conversation at this point. Now, the numbers will be read out shortly for you now. Okay, 0806 867 6163. That's one of the lines that you can use. 0806 867 6165. Beg your pardon, 6165 and 0902 427 3808, as well as 0905 648 7177. You can also make use of our WhatsApp line to drop your comments on the line 0703 175 9173. Let's take the calls now. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
What's your name? Where you calling?
Adeboye on the line.
You have 30 seconds.
I commend Honorable Olatunji for his contribution. Hello?
I'm with you. Go ahead.
The index rating shows that the government is doing well here in Osun. And we urge them to continue their good work.
All right.
So they should not listen to distractors or confusion list.
Thank you. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Adeyi. I'm calling from Bishobu.
Thank you, Mr. Adeyi.
You see, like the name depicts, Misty Index, I don't think that Misty Index is taking into consideration the situation, the real situation that we have in Osun State. Everybody knows that Osun is poverty reading. Everybody knows that people are suffering here, and that we have low crime rate here. It's not as a result of any government performance. It's as a result of lack of development. Wherever crime is high, you see that developments are there. It's because we don't have development here. That is why the crime rate is low. Okay. So that Misty Index does not have any correlation with what we have on ground there.
Okay. Thank you very much. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
No, my name is Bashir.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Ilogu.
Thank you for joining us.
I commend Mr. Aditi, and I want to appreciate what Governor Rava has done fantastically in Osun in banning poverty, in banning unemployment, in banning insecurity and everything. That is it at all. That is only what Arabs have done in Osun. That was absolutely fantastic, and it has been not is only the recommendation throughout the whole world. That is my contribution.
Thank you very much. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Mustafa Ahmed Tijani from Oshogo.
Thank you. I'd like for you to turn down Velvet Radio set.
I have done that already.
All right. Let's have a contribution.
It's amazing when issues relate to Osho and they are negative, people want to quickly accept it. Yes, the reality on ground does not fall in line with the poverty measure. This does not in any way, like take this figures and this fact. And we must learn to embrace figures and facts because we must understand that figures and facts are indisputable. Irrespective of how you feel about the government, you cannot go ahead and dismiss these figures and facts just because it does not suit your bias. We must learn as Nigerians to appreciate facts and figures. And like the man rightly said, this is for policy formulation and for policy direction that gives government. And it shows that government must be doing something in a lot of things right in our show. That's my take on this
Thank you.
Discussion.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. On Twitter, Marcelo tweeting at Ayeni Babatunde 8, he said the latest ranking is not a true state of things. Majority of Asian people still find it hard to get basic things, and the report says we are wealthy. What an irony. And Akode Adeola Diakone is saying second wealthiest joke of the year. And then this on Victory Mide is saying I really enjoy this morning Frank talk. It is very educative, but majority of the two guests is appreciative. It makes their points perpetuate with ease. They're both brilliant and mature. Thanks. So Shwanda Rao. Let's take some more messages. Okay, more calls this time. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
My name is Akode from Iwo.
Thank you, Mr. Akonde.
You see, sir, that news is very charming news and it's a welcome development.
Okay.
It's not for celebration, honestly. But what worries me is why some people can be elitist and critical, when the state is categorized as the poorest among the best. What caused them now to be appreciative of the positive development? Please let us appreciate positive development. God bless Nigeria.
All right. right, the message is on WhatsApp. Desmond from Ife says the index is higher in Osun State because Osun is not densely populated and not industrialized, but based on the circular flow of income, salaries that is being paid to workers is circulated within the economy of the state, and this will increase the economy of the state and reduce poverty among citizens of the state. God bless Osun. And King Lafez from Eda says, to be realistic, the Osun State government is doing everything possible to make lives of Osun people better. These facts is one way to make people understand the intentions of Osun government. Nice analysis from the supporting analyst. Thanks. And this one also is from Abiodun from Agbelu Oshogbo. He says, notwithstanding whatever indices that might be considered to rate Osun this high, it doesn't erode the fact that it is not in tandem with reality on ground. Thank God both speakers affirmed this fact. Just stand somewhere within town, you'll be alarmed at the number of people that would approach you for arms. That's how terribly bad the situation is. And FB Adigbola John on Facebook, that Adigbola John saying the United Nations reports should be followed and not crooked reports from financial analysts. Why can't the financial analysts analyze economic recession with unemployment rate in Osun State and in Nigeria? Well, as far as I'm concerned, employment rates in River State is more huge than Osun State. First and foremost, the rate of companies in River State is huge than that of Osun. And Engineer Emi Adekunle from Ede are still on Facebook. Okay, we're back to Twitter now, on WhatsApp now. Engineer Adekunle from Ede is saying the index report is theoretical. The reality on ground is majority of people living in Osun are finding it more difficult economically. If you go to Aleku or Atakumos and other markets, it's complaint galore if you ride Korokwe buses. And Prince Wale Otoba from Obago saying, to understand better, the poverty gap index estimates the depth of poverty by considering how far on the average the poor are from that poverty line. So I think the Bismarck index of poverty level in Osun is based on a relative threshold that is a cutoff point in relation to the overall distribution of income or consumption in Osun State. That is even distribution of available income accrued to Osun. So the index may be empirically proven right in its rating. That's Prince Wale Atoba from Obagun. And this one also, Temitokwe from Ede says, to me this report is not credible and shouldn't have been discussed at all. I suspect the body that did that report did the rating based on state government that paid them handsomely. Most it's a big ruse. The people of these states will only believe ratings done by UN body, not even any data produced by MBS or any organization that has a Nigerian blood. And Steve from Oshogbo said, I think if we are to share 20 naira between 10 people, it is better and beneficial to share it 2 naira each of them. 2 people take 10 naira each, leaving others with nothing. Let me explain to Mr. DB. Thank you. And this one says, Nigerian politicians don't say the truth, and that's what affecting us in this country. The current Osun State government is doing great. I'm not from this state, but anytime I'm in Osun, I see different developments in the state. With the current financial problem in the state, the governor is still working a Regbe, change the face of Osun. Please, let's praise this one. And the final message, that's from Kodri Owode, from Owode, Elisha Road. And the final message is from Engineer DB E. Lion from Oshogbo. He said, these index, E. Lion from Oshogbo said, these index and rating does not correspond with the true picture of situation and what is happening in Osun State. The people are really suffering. That's kudos, and he's saying kudos to Engineer DB. Thank you very much. Let's get back to our guests now. We'll just take your final remarks because of our time in 30 seconds. Let me start with Honorable Olatunji. 30 seconds, please.
Well, I think I will want to commend Nigerians, particularly the people of the state of Osun, for their resilience, in joining hands to make sure that we move the state forward. And we cannot discuss the mission index, like I said the other time, without also appreciating the workers and the leadership of the workers who could see beyond sentiments and what is immediate, to say it is better for us to ensure that everybody keeps their job than for few people to have jobs and others are thrown out. I'm sure the story would have been different today. I want to commend them for that. And we must know that Osun State, irrespective of whosoever occupies a particular phase now, is a brand that we must strive to bring. So when Osun people get excited at negative news and then they downplay what is positive, we should know that even in the business world, brand is an asset that is recorded in the financials of the bank.
Right.
So we should not make sure that the Osun brand becomes a total liability to the people, so that it doesn't matter who's in power.
All right, okay. Mr. DB, your final remarks on the program today.
Yes, we're all from Osun.
Yes.
I will not wish that something bad happens to Osun. We should be excited at any good news that comes out of here. But it's an election year. I want to play with my people, the citizenry. Let's balance infrastructural development with socio-economic well-being of the people. The two must be balanced for people to have a feel of what exactly is going on in government. I wish us all a happy new year.
Thank you very much. Well, Mr. Shegun Adebi, thank you so much as a financial expert and a project manager, management expert also. We thank you so much for joining us on Frank Talk this morning.
Thank you so much.
And also, Honorable Tunde Alatoje is a member of the State House of Assembly representing Ife North State Constituency. Thank you so much. Also a financial expert with many years also in the banking industry. We appreciate you joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you so much. It's
On
good to be here
behalf
once again.
of the team and executive producer Femi Adefila, my name is Femi Olanipekun. Thanking you so much, asking you to have a great day. Bye-bye.
Imagine the sun without heat. Imagine water without wetness. Imagine the sky without the stars. Imagine movement without motion. Imagine Oshobo without Aro. Imagine Inyo without Eforiro. Imagine Ocean without Rave. Just imagine. Rave 91.7 FM would define every moment.